Hello and welcome to Yerushalmi Berachos Daf Nun Hey. I promised you I was going to talk more about the Arud and the Bavli, or the Yerushalmi's version of a different type of snake. I'm going to say something very brief, but I want to talk about something that I believe could literally change your life, and it has changed mine. And I know that's a very bold statement, but this Ma'amar Chazal is so powerful that I know every Ma'amar Chazal is like that, but this one really should touch you just by learning it. And the purpose of learning is that we should become changed people. This is really a powerful one. So the first thing is that I want to just talk about very briefly the comparative part between the Bavli and Yerushalmi. A lot of the Mefarshim actually quote a lot of the Bavli here, but and the Yerushalmi here as well in the Bavli. But basically, we know the expression "woe to the snake that meets Rechlina ben Dosa." So a couple of things. First of all, the Yerushalmi calls it a chabarbar, which, according to many Mefarshim, is some type of crossbreed of a snake and a toad. If you look at the Pnei Moshe, he has a whole explanation of that as well. But and the Bavli is in Berachos Daf Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph, and there it's called an Arod, and you can look at Rashi there who describes it. So basically, what's very fascinating in the Yerushalmi is that it explains explicitly that he was davening, and therefore he didn't even feel the snake bite him. And that's an amazing thing, because in the Bavli you don't really see that so clearly, but that's really what it was. His concentration was so immense, and he says explicitly that I didn't feel it. And then there's this miracle that whoever gets to the water first lives, and the water came to him first. That needs to be explained. I mean, it seems most of the Farshim say that it was some type of segula, whoever gets the water first, the snake or him. How do we explain that? I mean, that's very hard to explain biologically. Just because the snake would drink water, it would make this person more lethal. We understand why someone drinking water might help him with a snake bite. Hydration is actually very important for a snake bite. Rahman al-Islam helps, for what the poisons do. But anyway, the point that I want to bring out is just that when you learn stories, the very Torah aniyam makamach and ashir makamacher, which brings to what I really want to talk about today, which is this story that is extrapolated in Medrash Rabbah and Yalkut Shmoni at more detail. So I'm going to embellish it a little bit based on those details, but I'm also going to talk about what it says here. And I'm going to give you two powerful lessons, and really it's unlimited powerful lessons. Such a powerful thing. Chazal, the words of Chazal are so penetrating. The Chavetz Chaim says at the beginning of Mishnah Berurah that a person should learn Agadas Chazal every day, because there's nothing that breaks the Yetzer Hara like Agadas Chazal. And this is Mamash it, and we're going to get back to the Chavetz Chaim in a moment. So Eliyahu Hanavi had promised, because the Jews were sinning and the king was serving Avodah Zarah, he had stopped the tal, no more tal. But then he wanted to bring back the Isha Shunamis's son, who he had to resurrect him. And so Hashem said to him, "You shut down the tal. You have to restart it if you want me to be able to. If you want to be able to use the power of Tchiyah," which he did, and then he was able to revive him. And in this, there's a parable that's given, and this parable is so powerful. So I'm going to start it. I'm going to tell it in a story form, and again, it's based on what the Yerushalmi says, and it's also based on other Chazals that elaborate a little bit longer, a little bit more. So the story is like this: there was a girl in Radin who had went off the derech, and she was not very religious at all. And the parents came begging the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim didn't really know them, never saw them. They weren't really part of the community. And they were begging him, our daughter went off the derech. Please, you have to meet with her, and you have to save her, help her, etc. So Chavetz Chaim said, "I agree. No problem. Bring her in." So he tried speaking with her, and he realized that there was no one home to talk to whatsoever. And he also understood, based on talking with her and etc., that this family really had no respect for Talmidei Chachamim or for Torah. And so he called them in and he spoke to them, and he asked them questions and verified this, and he said to them, "Let me tell you a story." And he told them this Yerushalmi, and it's really a medrash, like I said. And it's basically, there was a city that had a major plague, and children were dying everywhere. And there was a doctor who was called to the city who had the antidote to it. And this doctor came to the city, and while he was riding into the city to go cure all the children who were dying, he was robbed. And while he was held up, he was begging them, "Please, please stop, wait, don't hold me up. You don't understand. They told him if he says another word, they'll kill him." And anyway, he was quiet, he was silent. They stole all of his antidotes, and he was bringing all of his medicine, etc. And he, dejected, he went to the city, and he was very disappointed. He was going to tell them he had no way of curing everyone. Anyway, people are waiting for him. There's a whole entourage of people waiting, and one man comes running over to him and says, "Please, please, you have to cure my son. He's sick." And the doctor looked at him and said, "Oh my goodness, you have the antidote. You're the one that just robbed me. Where's the stuff?" And the guy burst out crying and said, "I threw it all into the water. I threw it into the river. I buried all the evidence. There was no money in there. It's all we wanted." And so the doctor said to him, "You killed your son." And those words are terribly powerful. In the Yerushalmi itself, it doesn't tell over all the embellished story, but the Medrash does elaborate more, and the Chafetz Chaim did as well. In the Medrash, it says, and I'll tell you how I'll finish the Chafetz Chaim story in a moment. In the Gemara here, it just says that there was a man who went to the doctor and robbed his medicine, and then came back to ask him to cure his son, and he said, "You stole the exact antidote that I wanted," which is what Hashem was telling Eliyahu. You want me to bring back this child to the dead? I can, but you shut down the Tal yourself. So in that case, he was able to fix it, and he restarted it. So the Chafetz Chaim said to him, the antidote to help this child is Torah and being part of the community and respecting Talmid Chachamim. You're bringing your daughter here. You already threw out the antidote. I can't help you. And that's very, very tragic. And lesson number one that I want to say is that when we respect Talmid Chachamim, we empower their tefillas. Sometimes a person could do tshuva. We know people that came to Rav Chaim Kanievsky for a bracha and were so inspired and so makabel his das Torah that it changed them. But oftentimes, we are the ones that are putting down the Rabbanim, putting down the chinuch system, putting down so many things, and we're throwing out our own antidote. And that is really, really tragic. But lesson number two is not just about respecting Talmid Chachamim. It's that a lot of times our own behaviors itself are throwing out the antidote. Whether we are rumbling about the bad things that Hashem is doing to us, and Hashem is looking at us like we're the Meraglim and saying, why are you being Meragel? The reason that there are people dying in this city, it's not Eretz Ocheles Yoshva. It's the exact reason that I want people to be distracted and not see you. And Zeh Piria, look how big the fruits are, and the giants are also this big. That's because Eretz Yisrael is Megadol tall people, and I want you guys to have the most amazing fruits. So we take the things that Hashem gave us, and we take away that power, because we literally are the one that's stealing all the antidotes and so many things in life, that we are making our own misery and we are making our own problems. And as a therapist and as a rabbi and someone involved in the community, people are always telling me, well, why doesn't Hashem fix it? But the answer is, He does fix it. You're throwing out your own antidote. We have a chiyuv of ishtadlus. We have a chiyuv of fixing things. I don't mean to say that there aren't things in life that are totally in the Ribono Shalom's hand, and that there's nothing, that the Ribono Shalom is gozer, and that's there. But oftentimes, probably more often than not, in bad situations that people are in, it's a wake-up call to look at our midos, look at our actions, and look at the things that we need to do. I don't mean to say that only bad things happen to bad people. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm saying that in life, a lot of times, we are the ones that are throwing out our own antidotes, whether it's a cure to depression, which is oftentimes getting active, whether it's a cure for anxiety, which is oftentimes working on our bitachon, or maybe medication management, or talking to someone, which is also hishtadlus, or whether it's a cure for any problem that we have in our life. We are the ones that have the antidote, and we are the ones that literally throw it out. I always quote the Chazon Ish. It's one of the few igros that I actually understood a little bit, and he says, "Atachon elam das." You daven to Hashem, give me brains. So Hashem says, "Sure, no problem. Sit down and learn my Torah." The guy says, "No, thank you. Please, Hashem, refuah." Hashem says, "Okay, no problem. Put on a coat. Be healthy." We daven for Hashem. Give me money. Hashem says, "Sure. Do some ishtadlus, do something, etc." All these things we ask Hashem for, but where are you? Habaha loha losagi. The tefillah is, let's say, 50%, but so is the ishtadlus. Maybe the tefillah is 99%. But the ishtadlus is also the 1%. Don't forget about that. And that's a very important thing. How many times in life are we throwing out our own antidote, or are we killing our own son? Rahman al-Litzlan. What a earth-shattering thought, and what a powerful thought, in the words of Chazal that pierce our hearts, like the Chafetz Chaim says. That's why we should study the words of Chazal every day. We should be zocheh to look at the antidotes that Hashem sends and puts into our minds, and to be able to utilize them so we can have better lives. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a great day.